Okay, the hour being after 7:30, I'd like to call the April 8th, 2021 school committee meeting to order. Unfortunately, we need to start this evening with a moment of silence to honor our 8th grade student, Phil Lapolis, who unfortunately died this week after a very serious illness that he fought for many, many, many years. So a moment of silence, please. Thank you. And on behalf of the committee, we send our thoughts and our prayers to the family at this very difficult time. Okay. Switching to a much more positive thing, we have one of our students that we've gotten to know very well over the last couple of years here to begin the evening with a report from Walpole High School. So, Brendan Mahoney, the floor is yours and welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Brendan Mahoney and I'm a senior at Walpole High School. This week, all students, both Cohort A and Cohort B, returned to school together 5 days a week for the first time since March 13th of 2020. Monday was the beginning of term 4, so we are now in the final stretch of the year with some students beginning new classes. And as for some of the return procedures, all desks are at a minimum of 3 feet apart, and all equipment, including desks, are sanitized after each use. One-way hallways are still in effect during passing times for students, and passing times have been extended from 7 minutes to 9 minutes. And as for lunches, instead of having one block for lunches at the beginning of D block, there are now 4 lunches within C block, and students within each class are broken up based on cohort to either eat lunch in the cafeteria or in the classroom. And overall, the return to school has been very smooth and beneficial for all students so far. As for student council, English teacher Carrie McMenamin, aka Miss Mac, the staff advisor for student council, was awarded the Massachusetts Association of Student Councils Advisor of the Year Award for all the amazing work that she has done for the school. We, as a counselor, are also proud of her. Some student council members will be attending MASC Leadership Conference this weekend virtually, and student council has been working diligently to plan events for the rest of the school year, and more details will come soon. Fall 2 sports such as football, volleyball, and winter track and field have all finished their seasons, and registration for spring sports is now open but will be closing shortly. Additionally, Walpole's had various athletes, both boys and girls, commit to playing a sport at a collegiate level, with the sports being football, basketball, lacrosse, etc. As for clubs at Walpole High School, the clubs are continuing to plan events and hold meetings during this difficult time. On March 27th, Walpole's National Honor Society worked on a project for the Walpole Trails Commission to clear the town forest anniversary garden that was overgrown with thorn bushes, and it really looks awesome now. Best Buddies had their April meeting on Monday, and also the Walpole High School Film Festival held a technology recycling fundraiser this past Saturday and raised a lot of money for the program. WHS's chapter of the Triam Music Honor Society will be hosting a fundraiser at the East Walpole Panera Bread tomorrow from 4 to 8, and people can show their flyer, and a portion of the sale will go towards the Walpole Music Program. And finally, the Random Acts of Kindness Club and the Spanish Club held meetings this week for the month of April. And I think that's all I have for tonight, so thank you all.
Great, and great to have you here, Brendan. It sounds like a really exciting time, and I know that it was important to your class to try to get back in person. So I'm glad that we're one of the high schools that has already gotten that off the ground. But great to hear from you. Are there any other questions or comments for Brendan this evening? Thank you, and stay with us because we'll see you in a few minutes, or we'll hear your name again in a few minutes. Okay, we have 2 recognitions this evening. The first one is the robotics team has some representatives here this evening, and then we have a recognition that involves a much larger group of people. Hopefully, many of them are joining the participants right now. But right now, let's start with the Robotics Club. Dr. Goff?
Sure. So we're just letting in Brian Gaffey. He's the robotics advisor, and I think there's a couple members of the Walpole High School Robotic Club that are present tonight to be recognized for their outstanding accomplishments. So I will not steal Brian's thunder, so I will let him take it from here. And thank you, Mr. Harn, for letting and Ian and Megan.
Awesome, yeah. So I'm planning to mostly kind of let the students talk a little bit about what they've worked on for this year. But it was also a very interesting year for the robotics team as well. So we just want to thank Walpole for your continued support of what we've got to do. We kind of had a few different at-home competitions that we got to be a part of this year. And so I was just going to let Ian and Meg talk a little bit about the competitions that they've been a part of and a little bit about the preliminary results that we've gotten.
Okay, it's you're up, Ian and Meg.
So a big part of this year was being able to compete with our robots virtually, because competitions that we usually go to are with teams all throughout New England, so that was not able to happen. So first came up with some at-home challenges that were able to demonstrate our robot shooting capabilities, autonomous routines, teleop driving skills, and the New England chapter of First Robotics ran a color conundrum mini bot competition, which used Romney robots to travel along a little course and this was really good because a bunch of our team members could take these robots home and have their own personal robot that helped teach them about assembly, electronics, and programming, which are all skills that will be very helpful for when they are able to come back into our shop full time. We also ran our training skills virtually, so we had a Romney class, a CAD class, programming class, and a website class that was kind of revamping our website. I was a part of the CAD class, and in there we started learning how to use Onshape, which is the CAD platform that we use. And we made a lot of drivetrains, specifically West Coast drivetrains, which are different than the tank drives that we normally make. So then once we are able to be back fully in person, we can try and make some of the drivetrains that we have made in CAD.
In addition to our virtual meetings in February, we were allowed to go back into the Plimpton building, which is where our shop is located, in small groups. So at the shop, we fabricated parts for our 2020 robot to modify it for the 2021 virtual challenges. And one of the main things we did was change our intake, which is how we collected the power cells, which are dodgeballs, which are the main game piece for the 2020 and 2021 game. And then yesterday, we finished filming all of our at-home challenges and then submitted the scores to first. And I believe that we placed 5th in our group as of right now. So that is what we did in person.
Well, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so that's what we had there. So we managed to give a lot of the students these little tiny take-home robots. So they're just about kind of like the size of your hand, but they run all the exact same code that the big robots that we typically use. So we've had a fantastic chance to give these out to all the students, freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors, and give a real hands-on programming experience to all the students. And they're being a little modest there. We actually had the best with this kind of system. We ended up with the best autonomous, like the best programming time out of our whole score there, which we were super excited about. And all of the other skills they've kind of been learning this year on the computers are also really helpful because as we begin bringing students in, we can take all those designs and plug them into our machinery and sort of start cranking out new parts. So we're hoping to give everyone a chance to build their little pet projects they designed virtually this year, as soon as we can start getting them in person.
That's fantastic. And one of the things that we've been trying to do is just share with the community the fact that so many good things have gone on, even though people like the three of you have had to figure out ways to adapt and modify and do things differently. Sounds like you picked up some really important skills and kept your program alive during a time where it maybe would have been easier to say, ah, we'll try it next year. So we're really, really glad about that. Mr. Breen, do I see your hand up, or is that, no, sorry.
Nope.
Are there any school committee members who want to ask any questions or comment? Well, thank you for being here, and a number of your other fellow Walpole High School students are here to be recognized along with you, because as student leaders, we just feel like you play an important role in our schools. So that's going to be our next recognition. So you're welcome. We hope that you will join us for that as well. Okay. So the next recognition is about student leadership, and the high school coaches and mentors are here this evening, along with captains from many, many teams. Not everybody, whenever you pick a night, it's never good for everybody. So there are people who are team captains or who are coaches who are unavailable tonight. But we as a school committee wanted to recognize the fact that student leadership is maybe the #1 contributor to a positive school culture. If it's not #1, it's way up there. And it definitely contributes to school pride. And we want to commend the students and the adults who have worked hard to make this happen. Mr. Imbush, I noticed that you're here. I would like to give you a chance to talk either now or after the students and their advisors get introduced. What's your preference?
I'll let you go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we have a long list because I didn't realize when I started thinking about this just how many students there are that step forward and show leadership. But we're going to read the names and hope that you take our appreciation seriously, because we're really, really proud of the number of people that step up. So from boys indoor track, we have Coach Corey Coogan, Sam Alosi, Ben Skypack, Aiden O'Brien, Ryan Logades, Nick Bond, Dallin Brierly. From the swim team, we have Coach Cheryl Cavanaugh with Michael Rose, Andrew Hendrick, Danielle Abril, and I know you too, sorry Danielle. Anna Smith, Isabel Graham. From girls hockey, we have Karen McMillan, Katie Meehan, Emma McInerney. From wrestling, we have Coach Steve Heil, Sam Grant, Colin Heil, Connor Hope, Alex Takis. From baseball, we have Coach Chris Costello with Sam Donovan, Max Martin. From softball, we have Coach Rachel Sprague with Samantha Kearns. From boys soccer, we have Coach Lee Delaney, along with Oliver Kelleher, Joe Colbert, and Ryan Formica. From girls basketball, we have Dave Wall and Natalie Griffin as the student captain. Mr. Hahn is going to help me so I don't lose my voice. So it's you're up, Mr.
All right.
Hahn.
From volleyball, Coach Karen Clemens, students Sarah Ball, Ali Fair, Shannon Jordan. From boys tennis, Coach Doug Lowenstein, students Sid Vajanji, Joe Colbert, and Jake Lowenstein. From field hockey, Coach Jen Quinn with student athlete Liz Hinton. From boys hockey, we have Benjamin Quinn and Jack Curran. From girls tennis, we have Coach David Mordecai and student Nora Patel. From boys cross country, we have Henry Morse and Aiden O'Brien. From boys basketball, we have Coach Oliver Ville, students Jack Connell, TJ Farrell, and Charles Nichols. From girls lacrosse, we have Coach Mike Tassoni, students Liz Hinton and Bria Foley. From boys lacrosse, we have Coach Jason Andola. And from girls indoor track, we have Charlotte Clark, Nicole Knopf, Maggie Mahoney, and Amanda Mellish.
And from the school newspaper, the Searchlight, we have advisor Jamie Ferguson with Renee Abbott and Danielle D'Entremont. From speech and debate, we have Coach Emily Murray and Tammy Ruda, with students Aiden Levinson, Nahidi Viragandi, and Laura Lee. From the math team, we have Kathy Milne with Lanika Goel, and again, Nadidi Bairagani. I'm doing my best with the names here. I'm hoping that I'm not insulting anybody. The film festival has an awful lot of strong leadership because of how comprehensive that program is. We have Mike Allen and James Conley as the advisors here this evening, and the student leaders are Grace Manzo, Catherine McClellan, Amy Gordon, Christina Forrester, Arthur Grant, Danielle Abril, James Lee, Michael O'Farrell, John Fitzpatrick, Madison Clark, Brianna Fucci, Christopher DeVito, Kieran Stover, Rafe Tomasetti, Nina LaRusso, Charlotte Clark, Elizabeth Hinton, Brenna Hughes, Cooper Lawler, Patrick Cooney, Juliana Webster, Jess Elmhurst, Nicholas Bond, Ryan LaRusso, Edwin Ryan, Johnny Salardo, Justin Akins, Mylan DeLapa, Jana DiMartino, and Colin Wilbur.
From Best Buddies, we have faculty advisors Kelly Robinson and Carrie Donlin, students Brendan Mahoney and Daniel Fredette. From Mock Trial, we have advisor Phil Baucus and students Brendan Mahoney, Edwin Ryan, Katrina Gebhardt, and Samira Mandrekar. From the Photography Club, we have advisor Joanna D'Agostino, and we have student Brianna Vitali. From GSA, we have advisor Tori Noynes and students Trevor Ross and Amanda Mayhew. From Random Acts of Kindness Club, we have advisor Kathy Furtazio and students Shaylin White, Jessica Elmhurst, Chloe McComber, Allison Canavan, and Juliana Webster. From Drama, we have advisor Jim Detilio and students Gina Testito, Liam Welsh, Liam Flippin, Sophia Goodsell. From Tri-M, I don't know if I'm reading that club correctly, we have advisor Kendra Nutting and students Lisa Jer and Shaylin White. From Yearbook, we have advisors Lara Harris and Mackenzie Gould, and students Kim O'Donnell, Elizaveta Chernavia, Laura Lema Durahu, Paul Holm, Peyton Nolan, Skyla Nidro, and Madison Finnemore. From NHS, we have advisors Laura Kay and Tori Noynes, and students Brendan Mahoney and Peyton Nolan. From Creative Writing, we have advisor Peter Salmons and students Renee Abbott, Katrina Gebhardt, and Lisa Jer. From Dance Company, we have our advisor Alyssa Tempesta and student Rachel Graham. And I apologize, we also have advisor Laura Barajas and students Aaron Foley, Renee Abbott, and Christina Forrester. Robotics was recognized earlier, but again, advisor Brian Gaffey and students Ian Conover and Megan Doucette. And then finally, student council, our newly award-winning Carrie McMenamin, and students Edwin Ryan and Katie Powerly.
Thanks for your help, Mr. Hahn. To all you students who are here, we applaud you. We thank you for getting us through the year up until this point. It has been a wonderful accomplishment that school has been open since the first day of school on September 14th. You adapted, you troubleshooted, you regrouped, and you committed to your passion. And I think that's just such an important part. Walpole High School is better for the contributions that you've made, so we want to thank you very, very much. There are two parts to our message this evening, though. The second part is we need your help more than ever, because students can talk to other students and be leaders in a way that even the best of adults can't do. We want your help because we're really hoping that we will end the year strong and be able to make some of the dreams, especially of the senior class, come through for the end of the year. The difficult part is we're challenging that by returning to school in full person. We also know that there's a new variant of the virus that's out there and that your group isn't fully vaccinated. So we need your help being compliant and following the rules of masks and sanitizing, and especially, unfortunately, if you get quarantined, we need your help in following those kinds of rules also. So that's our reason for having you here. The main one is to thank you, but the second one is we know that with your cooperation, we have a much better chance of having an end to the year the way that you all wanted. Many of you, most of you who are here this evening are seniors, and your contributions to the high school have been tremendous. We just hope to end on a really strong note. So we thank you for being here. If there are 3 or 4 students who want to speak, you could raise your hand. Mr. Hahn will have the lovely pleasure of picking out 3 or 4 students if that were to happen. But I'm going to just turn it over to Mr. Imbush and Dr. Goff to add a few things, and then any other school committee members who want to. But thank you very, very much, students. We appreciate your contributions. Dr.
Thank you,
Goff?
Nancy.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Imbush, yes.
I would just like to add my thanks to all of the people that are here today. The advisors who take their time, the time to advise these sports, and to these students. We could have added many more, but these are the leaders of each of these clubs and extracurricular activities, and the hundreds of students that look up to them. I think that's an important piece of all this, that this group of students are doing such a wonderful job for Walpole High School, because everybody looks up to them, and Walpole High School is better for it to have these extracurriculars and sports. The students are more well-rounded. They're happier. Walpole High School is definitely a better place because of the clubs and sports that we have. But these advisors and these student leaders are doing a phenomenal job, and I'd just like to thank everybody and commend everybody's work.
Thanks, Mr. Imbush. I don't want to repeat too much of what he said. He said it so well, but just from me, I really appreciate everybody's leadership. As a former Walpole High School athlete and participating in extracurricular activities, I know how valuable they are, and how you can bring kids in and students in order to be successful, and it's all part of the high school experience. And I look at some of these activities, and they weren't even possible or even a thought in how much not only our athletic program but our extracurricular activities and programs that have grown over the years is nothing short of tremendous. And that's in part to not only you, the students, but the advisors and your teachers who are willing to put forth the time, the effort, and the energy to make this happen. So I appreciate everything that you're doing as well. And you guys are all doing such a tremendous job. I always say, we were one of the first ones, if not the first one, to open our doors on September 14th and keep them open. And that is no short feat, and that is because of you. So keep doing what you're doing. We want to end strong. We want spring sports. We want to make sure we finish our events, our film festival, all of these activities that were just mentioned today. So thank you very much.
Are there any school committee members that would like to comment? Mr. Buckley?
Well done. I think we talk a lot about leadership in a lot of different ways, and I think for athletics and extracurricular activities, it gives a great opportunity for students to show and develop leadership skills. And I also know those same people have a lot going on and are often pulled in many different directions. And since we've asked you all out today, I just really encourage any and all students attending in the chat, just raise your hand. I'd love to hear from you here about how one of the great things that, and qualities of a leader is adaptability and ability to problem solve. So I'd love to hear both from students and, our great parent and coach and advisor, volunteer, and staff leaders as well, how you in kind of each of your silos and sports and things like that have adapted and overcome and found new ways to do things in the during the pandemic. So please jump right in and raise your hand. Or not.
I think we have a quiet group tonight, Mr. Buckley.
These things happen.
They always say silence is the hardest part when you're on a Zoom meeting or webinar. Give people time just in case. I think Mr. Breen has his hand raised.
Actually, I think,
yeah, I'd also like to recognize it's kind of neat that we have a pretty good cross section of the student body. Leadership aside, it's nice to kind of recognize that there are more different types of kids that kind of make a school tick. So, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that I didn't anticipate this number, but it's fantastic to see. There's a place for just about, I think there's a place for every child, every student, every young adult at Walpole High School, which is something to be really proud of. And we all just want to say thank you and tell you how proud we are. You are what makes Walpole High School what it is. So congratulations and thank you for your help. Good night, or you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but I'm assuming that some of you may have something else to do. So thank you very much. Okay, that gets us to our next item, which is new business, and I believe it's going to be combined in with the superintendent's report. Is that correct, Dr. Goff?
Yes, that's a yes, and it's actually short and sweet tonight. I always say that it's starting this off with welcome back again. If you remember on March 16th, right, last year, if you remember, I remember sending out that first communication letter to families and letting everybody know our buildings were going to be closed until I believe it was April 6th back then. And then little did we know at the end of April that there would be another correspondence to announce that our buildings would be closed for the remainder of the year. So as I mentioned to the students after opening our doors on September 14th in a hybrid model, it was great news that this past Monday on April 5th, we were excited to welcome back all of our students in grades K to 12 to a full 5-day in-person learning. And it's Thursday, and knock on wood, we're still going strong. There was really on Monday a lot. Mr. Hunt and I saw a lot of smiling, waving, clapping, shouting, dancing this past Monday morning, and that was just the parents during drop-off. Really, really good to see. So it was exciting. We saw everything from balloons to signs to school mascots and our energetic staff, and most of all, it was wonderful to see all of our students. I'd like to personally thank the staff for their hard work and continued resilience while we shift to yet another learning module. I'd also like to thank the Walpole Police Department for their assistance with our arrival and dismissal procedures. Just please continue to be patient as we assess and make adjustments as needed. We'll continue to work collaboratively with our nurse leader and our Board of Health to meet the safety protocols to minimize risk and maximize the safety of our students. As always, we will abide by contact tracing and quarantining policies per our protocol. And it's important to note, as we've done all year, we'll be prepared to make adjustments at each level as warranted. we can only control what happens in our schools, and as Nancy Gallivan mentioned, we need your continued support to mitigate risks and to keep our school doors open and our athletic, extracurricular, and end of the year activities and programs running smoothly. We are part of an exceptional educational community that is willing to work together to support our students and overcome obstacles. In terms of MCAS, we've had some questions. On Thursday, April 1st, Commissioner Riley announced that he will recommend to the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education that they modify the state graduation requirements for the class of 2022. So if approved, that would mean this year's 11th graders would not be required to take the MCAS test. In addition, the timeline for administering tests in grades 3 through 8 and grade 10 will be extended until June 11th in an effort to provide maximum flexibility for school districts. But this looks like we are still waiting for further guidance from the commissioner, so stay tuned. Next, in conjunction with the Walpole Coalition for Alcohol and Drug Awareness, Jessica Kuhn, she's the Regional Coalition Coordinator of the Substance Abuse Prevention, is asking middle school and high school families to participate in a 5-minute survey about the perceptions of underage drinking and other drug use. This regional survey they're collecting data from other towns, and the regional towns are Canton, Holbrook, Stoughton, and then us, Walpole. The survey is anonymous and will assist the coalitions in supporting our community. So the principals will be getting those out in the e-notes, and then I'll send a link out tomorrow on the SMORE Superintendent newsletter. And then finally, thank you to all of those community members who were able to join us Thursday evening for the Middle School Building Community Project Forum. I think we had about 175 participants or attendees, so that was great to see. We really hope that they found it informative. If you missed the presentation, we'll be sending out a link. Mary Mortali will send it out in the school committee minutes. I'll send it out tomorrow. And last night's agenda included the project's history, the timeline, decision-making process, the preferred schematic design, so there's some really nice visuals in there, the estimated cost reimbursement and estimated tax projections. And participants also had the opportunity to ask questions. There was a Q&A, so you'll be able to see that as well. We've been working on this since 2013 for about 7 years now, and we're really starting to see light at the end of the tunnel with everything that we have done over the past 7 years. So it's really exciting. There's still work to do. We'll still be communicating, so stay tuned. And hopefully you'll be able to take a look at the community forum. It's really a lot of helpful information. That's it.
Great. Are there any questions for Dr. Goff? You covered a lot of ground. And thank you for all the work that you as the administrators have done to get us to the point where we have not only our elementary schools open, but our middle schools and high schools. I think that's an important point to just bring up, because that's going above and beyond. And I know that it was something that was important to students and parents, and we appreciate the effort that it took to get there. Okay, if there aren't any other questions, we'll move to old business. And in our packets, we have the strategic plan that was developed at the end of February. We saw it at our last school committee meeting. So if there are any questions or comments that people want to add in, now would be the time to do it. If not, I think that, are you looking for a vote this evening, or, okay, if there.
Yeah, it's just a vote just to approve the strategic plan, to approve it or endorse it.
So every year there are modifications and next steps taken. So if there are questions or comments about the strategic plan, now would be the time to ask them. Mr. Buckley and then Ms. Denizio.
Through you, Madam Chair, a lot of great people did a lot of good work, so I would move acceptance by the school committee of the strategic plan.
Great.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any other discussion points? I would just say for the listening audience, this is something that you can find on our website after it gets approved. It gives you the general guidance to what the priorities of the district are. And as Mr. Buckley just mentioned, there were many people who provided input. So take some time. It tells you a good amount about our district. If there are no further questions, I will take a vote and it'll be a roll call vote. Bill?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
And myself, Nancy, yes. Thanks to everybody who has worked and continues to work on that.
Thank you for that, and thank you for the hard work of, as Bill Buckley mentioned, to our educators, students, parents, I think it was town officials, community members, and our leadership team to put this together.
Yeah. Okay, that then gets us to the middle school project, which you did a fair job of talking about during your superintendent's report. Are there any things you want to add, Bridget?
No, sorry, Mr. Breen. I'll give you the rest of it if there's anything left, but go right ahead.
I would just encourage people. I would second the comments about the community forum last night. I think it was successful to see that many people and a lot of good questions. But I would also encourage people to continue to check out the link to the school department's website with updates on the progress of the school project. I mean, we don't have the Walpole Times anymore with weekly updates about it, so you really need to kind of actively seek out some information, and I think the school website is really a great source. Thank you.
Okay, then that gets us to subcommittee activities. And the curriculum subcommittee met recently. There's some news from the state legislature, and we want to just prep everybody for the fact that the superintendent evaluation is coming up. But we'll start with curriculum. Who wants to give a report on that? Go ahead, Kristen. Yeah.
So we met last week, I believe it was, and there were 3 topics that we discussed, and more will come out on each of those. One thing was talking about diversity and inclusion and how that impacts curriculum. That's something that we'll continue to look at. It's, part of the strategic plan also, as we discussed. We looked at ELA leveling in the middle school, so there'll be more discussion to come on that. And then also continued discussion on math, this time at the high school level, but there's ongoing discussion on where that sits and ways to improve.
Ms. Is it all right, Dr. Goff, you want me to add to that?
Yes.
So, I'll just add a few more details. She summarized the agenda perfectly on the second item, the leveling at the middle school. There have been some decisions on that, and parents will get more information. So we thought this might be a nice opportunity to share some of that information. But there has been a decision to eliminate the leveling of English language arts courses for 7th and 8th grade students at our middle schools. This decision has been considered for quite a while in collaboration with leadership and with staff. And we've used data, empirical research, and best educational practice to come to this decision. More information will be coming to parents with the scheduling packets directly from the guidance office and building principals.
Are there any questions or comments? If not, we'll go to just an update that came out the other day from the state legislature. Often at this time of year, we're waiting to find out what each city and town will get in terms of revenue for the next year. And this year, the House and the Senate decided to work together to agree on some funding, and it is better than the funding that was put in by the governor when his budget came out at the end of January. So for people who are unfamiliar with the process, in order to budget locally, you have to have a reasonably good certainty about what you can expect to receive from the state. And the governor's budget comes out at the end of January. Then the House has a proposal, then the Senate has a proposal, then the three have to come together, which sometimes doesn't happen until July. This gives cities and towns some certainty. We don't have the exact numbers for Walpole, but we do know that the governor's budget was better than level funding, meaning better than what we have currently coming in this year. And the House and Senate agreement will give better funding than the governor's budget overall. How much will it benefit our town is still to be determined, but it means that legislators are listening carefully to their districts. They're understanding that it's been a really challenging time for cities and towns. So that's good news. And on that note, I would just thank our legislators for being so responsive and for knowing how important it is to get that information to us as soon as it's available. Any questions around that state funding? Okay, then the last item is that, as crazy as it seems in this crazy year, it is important to think about the evaluation process of the superintendent, mainly because it's important to have open lines of communication in terms of expectations and in terms of support. So we will be having the evaluation tool will be in our next packet, and along with a schedule that we want to keep, because we will be getting the evaluation done during the month of May. We know how hard our administrators have worked, and I hope that, Dr. Goff, you're seeing this just as a communication tool. We as a committee believe in the rule of no surprises. So, you know, we would never come up with something that you were unaware of, and you know that we're very appreciative of the work. I do think, though, that the process is important because we're all better when we keep the lines of communication open. So I hope you sleep
I agree.
well.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's great, and it helps me to be able to tell a story and paint a picture of the year. So, thank you.
Good, good. Okay, I don't think there are any other subcommittee reports, unless anybody has something that I am forgetting.
Just that when the budget comes out Wednesday, we'll know our local aid number, so we'll know in 6 days.
Yeah, Wednesday of next week, we'll have the specific. Good point. Okay, that gets us to citizens' comments. Mr. Hahn, you are not done with your job yet. Are there any citizens in the chat?
We do have some citizens in the chat, so I'll wait to see if a hand goes up or a comment in the chat.
Maybe it's just some dedicated viewers.
I think, and some are from here, still here from the recognitions, which is great.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, everybody. The next item then will be warrants, donations, and minutes. Sean?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the following expense warrant for the amount listed in your packet. It is warrant number 21422. Sorry, excuse that. The number is 221040.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Sean, a second by Carrie. I need to poll the committee. Bill?
Aye.
Kristen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
And myself, Nancy, yes.
And I would also like to make a motion to approve the following payroll warrant for the amount listed in your packets. The number is 2140PA.
Second.
We have a motion by Sean, a second by Kristen. Although, I'll poll the committee. Bill?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Myself, Nancy, yes. Okay? And I forget, were there donations in our packet? Okay, somebody want to take the donations, please?
Sure. Before I make a motion, just a point of clarification. The second to last item on the list appears to be a repeat of the item just above it. It's the same date, same donor, and same amount. So I don't know if we're approving two or if that's just an error on the sheet.
I think there's two separate things.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, well then I will make a motion to approve the following gifts and donations to, I lost my place here, to Bird Middle School, Johnson Middle School, Boyden School, Elm Street School, Old Post Road School, and Johnson Middle School from Bay State Textiles and Recycling, $226. To Johnson Middle School from multiple anonymous donors for Grayson Beauregard, $89. To Boyden School from Megan E. Rees-Ahigian to the Multicultural Books Initiative, $100. To Boyden School from the Boyden School PAC to Multicultural Books Initiative, $100. To Boyden School from the Old Post Road School PAC to the Multicultural Books Initiative, $250. To Boyden School from Ann M. Grilly for the Beverly Fusil Media Center, $300. To Boyden School from Robert D. Girolamo and Ellen N. D. Girolamo to the Multicultural Books Initiative, $50. To Boyden School from William J. Buckley Jr. and Donna E. Buckley to the Beverly Fusil Media Center, $75. To Boyden School from William J. Buckley Jr. and Donna E. Buckley to the Multicultural Books Initiative, $75. And system-wide anonymous donation for sports rebranding, $20.
Second.
We have a motion by Carrie, a second by Kristen for many generous donations. I will poll the committee. Bill?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
And myself, Nancy, yes. Okay, that gets us to minutes.
Through you, Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the March 11th, 2021 school committee meeting minutes.
Second.
We have a motion by Bill, a second by Kristen. I will poll one more time. Bill?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Myself, Nancy, yes.
Through you, Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the March 31st, 2021 curriculum subcommittee meeting minutes.
Second.
We have a motion by Bill, a second by Kristen. Again, Bill?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Myself, Nancy, yes. And that being said, I think we need your help here, Mark Green.
Very good. If I could, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mark, a second by Bill. Bill?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Myself, Nancy, yes. And thank you very much for all the hard work, administrators. We really appreciate what you've done to get us here. So,
Thank
have a good
you.
evening.
Nancy, I think it was the Brian Walsh record.
I'm going for it.